Welcome into a brand new episode of the Patriots Hub Podcast. Alex, Barth, Matt Dolloff coming to you after the Patriots hang on and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to extend their winning streak to 7 games. This team is rolling, Dolloff, after a 28-23 win. Maybe not as close as the score indicated, maybe closer than the score indicated, depending on how you look at it. But I said all week, this was another level of competition, even with the injuries. This is a Buccaneers team that represents a true playoff test, a contending kind of team. And the Patriots went punch for punch with them and then some. I think I said this on our preview, and I'll say it again. I don't think the week schedule talk big picture is justified. Or I do think the week schedule talk week to week is justified. Big picture. I do. Because they have played some bad teams. But they've blown out those teams. They've more than matched the challenge. This game was a better indicator as to where they're at. And again, they went on the road and they beat a team that is at a place where we thought it would be a year or two for them to be, but they may be there right now.
Yeah, they beat a talented team in their building. And this is a team that the Bucs that are established for the last couple of years. They're an established playoff team. Baker Mayfield has sort of, rejuvenated his career out there. And the Patriots came in and, other than that first drive, I thought they made Baker Mayfield mostly look pretty pedestrian in the game defensively. And so, look, it wasn't a perfect game, but it's hard to be perfect on the road against a good team. And so the Patriots, on balance for the season, they've really passed the eye test. They've beaten the crap out of the bad teams, and they're still beating the good teams. They're now 2 for 2, in my opinion. I haven't gone over the whole schedule, but I think it's just the Bills and the Bucs are the only true good contending tight teams that they've played this year.
Yeah.
I know Carolina was back to 500 after they got killed by the Patriots, but I wouldn't put them in the
Carolina's like a step. They're somewhere in between the Bucs and the Saints.
Right. Exactly.
They don't really fit either of those.
The Bills and the Bucs are the two teams that so far on the schedule, those teams are probably going to be in the playoffs, or they're going to be close to it if not. And the Patriots went in there and they beat them. And I think 28-23 is about right. If they won that game 28-16, I'd say the game was a little closer than that score indicated just because of the way it ended. Obviously, I know the Bucs got a garbage time touchdown, but look, not perfect for the Patriots. They started slow. The Drake Maye had I think arguably his worst interception of the season when you consider the situation and where they were in the field and all that. That was the one huge blemish on the day. I know you're going to make mistakes over the course of the game. It's hard to be perfect over the course of 60 minutes, especially against a talented team like the Bucs, but they made enough plays and they closed strong enough. I'm not shocked that they gave up the garbage time touchdown. They'd sort of called off the dogs at that point in the game. They were saying, fine, let them sling it around the field. We'll tackle you in bounds and you'll have to run around. You're going to run out of clock. And so I wasn't too mad about the very end of that game. And they recovered the onside kick, which I thought was a sneaky, critical week-to-week adjustment that they made. Because if you remember, Austin Hooper kind of botched the recovery on the onside kick a couple weeks ago against the Browns. They switch in Stefon Diggs, and Diggs comes up big. Stefon Diggs with 2 big plays, both in the closing seconds of the half. First that touchdown, and then the onside kick recovery. And so, not a perfect day for the quarterback in this one, but he also made a number of great throws, especially, in third down situations in the second half. And then their key players stepped up and made some key plays in key situations. That's what you have to do to beat a good team, especially on the road. So overall good win.
Well, I think some of it too, to go back to something you said, we've talked a lot over the course of the season, and some of the stuff they did, even when they were blowing out those bad teams, you can't start slow, right? We'd say you can't, once you get to the better opponents, you can't start slow. The turnovers, you can't have these kind of turnovers once you face the better teams. They had some bad penalties in this game. Not an overwhelming amount, I would say, but they did have some, and those were the things we talked about they couldn't do against this caliber team, and they did, and they still won, and I think that speaks to where their talent level's at. And I think today, not take anything away from Mike Vrabel, because I thought he coached a very good game, and we'll get to some decisions he made, but this one was about the front office as much as it was the coaching staff, and breakout day finally for these rookies, right? They were in a spot where they were going to need them. At running back, Ramondre Stevenson's already out. Terrell Jennings gets hurt in the first half. No Kayshon Boutte, and TreVeyon Henderson runs wild. And I mean, that the second run, he did a great job. Well, let's go first things first. The first run, right? They're struggling to run it in between the tackles the whole game. And I between Henderson's 2 runs, he had 5 carries for 0 yards between the 2 big runs. they were really struggling. But I think some of it was showing the Bucs that play to set up other things. The Mack Hollins deep ball, Tony Romo kind of talked about on the broadcast, was set up by that run up the middle look. But the one up the middle that goes, Morgan Moses moves his guy out. Great block by Morgan Moses. Hollins and Hunter Henry push their guy, like clear out the backside of that. And Henderson's gone. And you see when he gets in the open field, there were defenders that initially had an angle on him. They just weren't fast enough. And so that's that breakaway speed we've been talking about. And then on the second one, you know, he does a great job. The impressive thing there to me, he gets hit initially in the backfield and his ability to steady himself. And he controls his balance. He gets his feet back under him and he's able to get around the corner. Now, I don't know how much the Buccaneers are trying to tackle him, trying to catch up to him as he goes up the sideline. They probably thought he was going to go down. Interesting move by Mike Vrabel to let that play out. They got lucky. That didn't bite them, but I do understand the element of this is a kid that's had a hard go of it. Let's let him get his moment. Let's get him going. That's, you saw Vrabel, the players coach, in a number of facets today. But I think you saw it the from Henderson, the breakaway speed, the vision, the contact balance. Like, this is the guy we've kind of been waiting for. And this is what it's going to be with him. It's not always going to be these chip away runs. That's what Ramondre Stevenson is. It's, you know, he averaged over 10 yards a carry, but it's not like he carried the ball 10 yards every time. This is more, I think, the kind of player he is when he's on.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered it with TreVeyon Henderson there. My point was, one of the points you made there was the contact balance of both of those big touchdown runs. He got kind of clipped initially, like a little bit, and he was able to stay on his feet. I thought that was huge. He could have stumbled and gotten, only 5 or 6 yards, but instead he's taking it all the way to the house. And look, I think the concerns for him earlier in the year may be a little overblown in some circles. Like, look, he has high-end speed for the NFL. He's not one of these guys who's like, he's not athletic enough to make plays. Like, he has breakaway speed, and I think we saw that on both those 2 touchdown runs. I think the problem has been sort of with his decision-making, his overall execution. I'm not sure he was seeing the blocks well enough or seeing the field well enough. But we've been talking about it all season, Barth. Maybe he just needs that one breakout game to really get rolling. And look, they need him. They might still need him. We don't know if Ramondre Stevenson is going to be back next week. And so maybe his big breakout came at just the right time. And the one at the end of the fourth quarter was interesting to me. He could have not gone down. They could have, made him use up their timeouts, kicked a field goal, and you're up 2 possessions anyway with, minimal time left on the clock. But I think that's a situation where, like, scoring's fine. You're going up 2 scores either way in that situation, provided you protect the ball. And so I was okay with him running in for the score there. It's like we saw how that played out. Like, the Bucs are going to have to drive all the way down the field in quick succession and then recover an onside kick. Just like the win probability was through the roof once TreVeyon Henderson had that ball right by the goal line. Like, the game was pretty much well in hand no matter what happened there, as long as they didn't lose the ball back to him. So I was okay with that decision. I thought the decision at the end of the first half was more interesting. To have Drake Maye, knee the ball there and run some clock down. And
real quick before we get to that, I just want to close the loop on the rookies before we get to that. I wanted to get to some of the rookies next because I want to make sure we don't. As I was writing, I kind of did this. I went from the TreVeyon Henderson thing into the game flow, but like Kyle Williams,
stop me from rambling if you ever need to.
No, you're good. Kyle Williams. The long touchdown. Again, I said this morning on Sunday kickoff for those who listen 15 hours apart on these Sundays. I appreciate it. You remembered me saying this. Like, I didn't need him to have 5, 6, 7, 8 catches to have a big game. It was, can he give them 1 or 2 big plays? And that's how he's going to make it. Kind of like TreVeyon Henderson. Like, he's kind of a similar player. He's not a volume guy. And it's a great throw by Drake Maye. Tight window throw, and then gone. And I don't know about you. That play, just the angle of it, the way it played out. Remember the Malcolm Mitchell touchdown in San Francisco in 2016?
Yeah.
Where it was like kind of, the angle of the throw and the way he took off right. I thought it kind of looked similar, but that's really all he did. He had one other target, and I think 38 snaps, but that's a successful day for Kyle Williams. Like, if he gives you 1 or 2 of those a week, you're in great shape. And then one other rookie, just credit Elijah Ponder, first career sack. Talked about it after the trade deadline. Somebody's going to need to step up. Maybe they're trying to give the kids more run. Caleb Murphy was active, but Elijah Ponder gets in there, gets his first NFL sack.
Yeah, sneaky big play by Ponder there late in the second because Christian Barmore was out. He was injured.
Right.
And so they were shorthanded there. Looked like they were having trouble adjusting, getting pressure right after the fact, but then Ponder gets that sack, and obviously Chason gets the big pressure near the end that sort of rushes the throw on fourth down. And so, yeah, like the defense stepped up big there. But what was the other one? Oh, yeah, I think we just told our audience how absolutely insane we are by calling back to a Malcolm Mitchell touchdown from, what was it, week 10 of the 2016 season? But I do remember the play.
Week 10, I'm going to be so impressed.
Vividly.
Hang on. If it's actually week 10, I'm going to be so impressed. But the way it, like, the angle of that throws never made sense to me.
No, it's like he dropped it perfectly over the defensive back's shoulder. It was like the same throw, basically, the one that Tom Brady made to Malcolm Mitchell. And then, yeah, it was especially considering that Drake Maye was
week 11, Dolloff. Week 11. You're so close.
Damn it. I mean, we're insane. We are just clinically insane, Barthy. But yeah, look, the placement was incredible, especially when you consider that he was off his back foot and he was about to get hit by a free rusher that beat the pressure on the right, or beat the block on the right side. And so, like, for him to make that throw in that sort of position where he's not really planting his feet and exactly setting his feet and stepping into it, that just shows that was just Drake Maye being a freak, that throw. And then obviously Kyle Williams, another rookie with breakaway speed. You give him an open field, run right down the sideline. He's going to take that all the way. And so, yeah, maybe that was Kyle Williams. This has been a big theme. You just need the one thing, one big play to get you rolling. I know it was just the one play for Kyle Williams, but look, if he can be just that sort of complimentary big play guy, almost like they keep running the ball just to respect the run. If they could take a couple shots down the field with Kyle Williams just to make the team respect it, that'd be a good thing for this offense, especially if they have to play without Kayshon Boutte, who's been their big play guy. If Kyle Williams can step up and be a similar piece in terms of the downfield part of his game, like that'll be huge. Stepping up with Boutte out, so yeah, like it was good to finally see these two offensive rookies that they drafted relatively high come through, and they're probably going to still need them going forward. I don't know if Ramondre Stevenson's going to be back next week, but it sounds like Boutte's going to be out for a little bit.
And Terrell Jennings
so I think it came at the right time.
So Terrell Jennings got hurt too, so I mean they're running back. They're up against it now on a short week. I thought you highlight the throw to Kyle Williams. I thought it was one of Maye's three best throws. I thought the one in the pocket where he kind of gets away from Vita Vea, picks the ball up, hits Mack Hollins over the middle, and then obviously the downfield throw. Shout out to Mack Hollins, by the way. Like, Kyle Williams stepped up in kind of the big play role with Kayshon Boutte out, but in that volume role, Mack Hollins, first 100-yard game since 2022. I thought he did a really good job of creating some windows for Drake Maye to throw the ball. Again, those guys' chemistry is outstanding, considering it's their first year working together.
I think the familiarity with McDaniels, too, is probably helping with Hollins.
Yeah, I know some people were a little more down on that signing. This is exactly what they needed him to be. Like, he's not... Stefon Diggs is the guy that's at the top of that depth chart, and I thought he had a good game today as well. You mentioned he recovered the onside kick. We'll get to his touchdown in a second. But, they were going to need one or two of these for Mack Hollins this year, and credit to him for having a good game. All right, so end of the first half, Patriots, they picked up the double score, which is how they're beating these teams. It's the double score and being dominant in the third quarter. Today's the first time they allowed third quarter points, Dolloff, since week 5 against the Bills, which is obviously a while ago.
Wow.
They go down.
Any points at all. That's crazy.
Any points at all in third quarter. They get the ball with 7 minutes to go. They go on this epic drive. And with about 4 minutes left, I looked at the clock and I'm like, they could maybe get the double score here, or you score with like a minute left and Tampa's got to go like fully hurry up at the end. And they got really conscious of the clock there. Tampa starts burning timeouts. They start kind of managing it. I think Drake Maye said after the game that he was trying to score on that first down and Vita Vea just caved him in, which Vita Vea will do that, but very conservative play calling till the end there. Mike Vrabel said they wanted to have the ball last. And Stefon Diggs makes an unbelievable catch to make it happen. Grabs the touchdown to set up the first half of the double score, and then the TreVeyon Henderson run was the second half of it at a halftime. But it's one of those things where I'm sitting there like, this is one of those ones. If it works, it's brilliant. If it doesn't, it's foolish. And it worked, so it's brilliant. That's that was pretty cowboy attitude. But it also tells you, I don't know, glass half full, glass half empty, how they feel about their defense and how they felt about the Buccaneers offense.
Yeah, like they felt they wanted to be up at halftime. I want to credit our colleague Joe Murray. He tweeted during the game, I think it was before halftime, that the Bucs before today were undefeated when leading at halftime and winless when trailing at halftime.
I think it was 5-0 when leading, 1-0 when tied, 0-2 when losing. So it was a pretty wide split. Yeah.
Yeah, like so you could argue that one play by Diggs to make that touchdown at the very end of the second quarter made the biggest difference in the game. Like just for the Patriots to be able to go to the locker room with that mini dagger saying like, we're in the lead now, we're getting the ball back, we're going to get our double score. They get the double score, and then I don't know exactly what happened. Like I think the Patriots had a bit of a clunky defensive stand. I don't know if it was right after, but they might have traded punts, and then the Bucs had that drive where Christian Gonzalez had the DPI, and then Baker Mayfield made a couple of nice throws, and they got right back in the game. But then I thought that the Bucs sort of stumbled on themselves with their own red zone offense with that they went for like a Philly special type of play on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
and I believe they got penalized on it. It wasn't just that they didn't execute; they got flagged.
So I think they didn't call the flag. I think they flagged him, but then they said there was no penalty, which was weird because we all know that play. There's some formational issues, but anyway.
No, you're right. Yeah. That was weird, but like it wasn't good either way. But yeah, like that's probably what the Tampa radio stations are going to be talking about tomorrow. It's like, what the hell are you doing on that 2-point conversion? You kind of killed your own momentum there. Who knows how the game goes if they get that game to 21-18. But yeah, like I thought it was huge for the Patriots to finish out that second quarter. Again, Stefon Diggs, literally like the closing seconds of each half. Like he gets that touchdown and then he recovers the onside kick. Like that's I said last week, great players make big plays in big moments, and he did that again. That's the second straight week he's making big plays in big moments. And so, like, yeah, like I thought that was huge just at the end of that first half, just to have the momentum going, and the history was on their side having the lead.
Look, that Bucs front's legit with a guy like Vita Vea. Giving up any chance to get points is risky, but it worked for him and it worked massively. And that it just goes to the fact that just about every button this coaching staff presses right now is going their way. And it's not just luck. Like I think they really have their finger on the pulse of this team, what this team can do, what this team can't do, where this team needs to be pushed, maybe where it doesn't need to be pushed. That's Vrabel and his entire staff have done a great job of that. So that's,
and again, like bad start on defense, and then I don't know exactly what the adjustments were, but they obviously made some kind of adjustment. Baker Mayfield looked pretty much rattled for a lot of that game. He was off with a lot of throws. Like I don't know if it was like they were playing like zone coverages maybe, and they were just tackling really well, and so like they might have lost confidence in their ability to break off big plays because they couldn't really break off a lot of big plays, especially after that first drive. I know Emeka Egbuka gets the catch and run for the touchdown, but like after that, the tackling tightened up. And like Baker Mayfield just looked like he looked out of sorts for, a good 2 quarters of that game in the middle.
Well, to that point, I mean, and there might be a schematic adjustment within this. We can move on to the defense here. I thought like the coverage was so. They had some trouble. We talked about this on the preview. Who's going to burn them, Egbuka or Otten? And both those guys had really good games.
Yeah.
But when Baker Mayfield got erratic was when the pressure ramped up. And they only had 2 sacks, but they had 14 pressures. It was 14, 16 pressures, something like that. And they were hitting them. Like those were real aggressive pressures. So this is one where I think the front maybe bailed out the secondary at times. And once they got to him, even when they weren't getting pressure, Baker got a little sped up in this game. So Caleb Von Chase on Milton Williams, Harold Landry, those guys are in. Some of it too was they lost a guard and they had to go to a backup guard, former Patriot Michael Jordan. And then Luke Gedecke's playing his first game after missing 6 weeks with a foot injury. So it's a battered offensive line. And I think they kind of pinned their ears back and started taking advantage of that. And that's where the script flipped.
Yeah, the Bucs were banged up going into this game, and like getting banged up during the game, I'm not really surprised at the outcome. I thought they might have enough to just squeak out a win. And look, maybe if they make a few more plays, they do. But like, look, this is what happens when 2 good teams play each other. It's usually just one team makes a few more plays than the other, and another team makes a few more mistakes. Like the Bucs, they just made too many key mistakes in the second half there. Though obviously the 2-point conversion, which we just touched on, and they had the pick play that wiped out a conversion on a late drive.
Right. And that's another one where Sterling Shepard's a veteran player. You just got to get in his way, and that's probably legal. He lowers the shoulder.
Yeah, he leaned into him. Yeah,
that was an interesting move, but yeah, no, I thought the pass rush really stepped up. You did mention the tackling though, which I thought, and I'll give credit to Tampa here, and this gave the Patriots fits all game. they didn't miss a lot of tackles, but like, especially in the run game, and they allowed their first 50-yard rusher, just like we all had it. Sean Tucker being the guy that would run for, I did like Tucker coming out of Syracuse in the draft, actually, but he went for 53 yards. They ran for the two running backs combined 4.7 yards a carry. There are some like really hard fought 2 to 3 yard runs in there that should have been 5-yard losses. And again, it's not necessarily missed tackles, but there would be times where the Patriots defense had the run buttoned up and the back would do something. He'd double back or he'd put his shoulder down into a defender or something, like end up turning what should be a loss into a small game. And those started to add up over the course of the game. So I don't think every team, frankly, has the ability to do that. You know, people are going to say, is that the book on the Patriots run defense to cut back and kind of run out of structure? You know, they got Breece Hall next week, so maybe he can do it. I don't think everybody can do it, but this was an interesting game for the run defense because I thought they played okay. There weren't really any big runs, to your point. They limited that big play, but they could have had, hang on, I have it right here. I don't know how many tackles they had for a loss. It definitely wasn't many, just off the top of my head. They had one rushing play that went as a tackle for loss.
Not a lot of negative plays.
No, they probably could have had 5 or 6, and the backs for Tampa just refused to go down and were resilient. So tip my cap there. And I think against a team with a little less talent, this goes down as like a dominant run game for the Patriots defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, like you get into the backfield, like you're going to miss a tackle sometimes. Like the guys that get the ball are talented too. They're also paid millions of dollars to play football. So it's like you're going to miss a tackle at some point. And like sometimes a guy is going to turn a negative play into a positive play. But I think it was just the way they limited the damage. And generally their ability to just build a wall up front and control the gaps. Like I'm still surprised at how effective they've been against the run. It's considering how it looked in the preseason. Just you thought their personnel was tailored more toward getting after the quarterback, but I think they just get after ball carriers. I think that's what they are. They swarm the ball carrier and they do what they can to burst into the backfield on the play. And look, you get one guy to beat his man right off the snap with the first step, and he's in the backfield, and like you just chip the guy, you get a little piece of him or get him to react and hesitate. Like that causes a domino effect, and then here come the other guys, and you're not always going to get a tackle for loss. A guy is going to be able to adjust and get positive yardage out of it. And you got to give credit to Tampa for the way they competed and stayed in the game. And look, like they're a good team on paper, and so look, I give them credit for hanging in there. I wouldn't expect either team to get a blowout win today, especially with the teams make turnovers and mistakes, and that's going to happen. But yeah, like I thought the tackling was good enough. Like if you stop a guy for 4 or 5 yards and instead of breaking off a 20, 30-yard run like that can have that can build positive momentum over the course of the game. You can sort of wear a team out by, I know a running back can wear down a defense. Yeah. A defense can wear out a running back by constantly bringing them to the ground, like almost mentally. You can wear them out. I can't get by these guys.
Wear out the offensive line with that, I think, too, is a part of that. It is going to be interesting to see now. So something they'll have to monitor. So you mentioned Christian Barmore went out during this game. I think it was a back injury, right? They said for Barmore.
Oh, jeez. I'm glad it's not the knee, I guess.
I'll double check that. But either way, he was banged up. He left the game early. Now you're on a short week. I thought, and it was.
I'm hoping Diggs didn't get a concussion, by the way, on the onside kick.
Yeah, so I got a little worried. I think that was maybe just to like, all right, we won.
Laid there and unstrapped his helmet. I was a little concerned there.
That's where I was wondering after they let Henderson score, and could they have avoided the onside kick? But I taught people who covered the game, like he talked in the locker room. He's good, so. He should be fine with that. Barmore, it was a back injury. There we go. Now that we've stalled enough, it was back injury. So the point being, it's going to be interesting to see how the front adjusts. Like, is it more Khyiris Tonga? But also Khyiris Tonga now apparently has this role on offense. Played 8 snaps at fullback and set a big block on that second touchdown run by TreVeyon Henderson, which, again, right or wrong to score, he needed the corner. He needed the first down. Tonga helped him get the first down. So it's going to be more him.
Sorry, go ahead. Pulling the pull block by Tonga?
I couldn't believe it. That's the thing. Like, if somebody's got to step in for Barmore, like, what do you do? Because I kind of want Tonga in that role on offense. I like him in that role on offense. It's not that many more snaps, but they've talked about how they want to kind of manage guys' workloads. So Is it him doing more? Or is it him doing more with less on offense? Do we see more of Corey Durden, who I thought he's had a sneaky couple of good games here. That guy is just always in the backfield and plays with an incredibly high motor. If Barmore has to miss even just this Thursday game, and look, they should be able to take care of the Jets without him, but we saw what the Jets did. Did they even end up winning? I know Breece Hall went nuts. They did end up winning, which is very Jets in the middle of a fire sale. But like, if anybody's going to get the Patriots, it's going to be Breece Hall, and you might be down a defensive tackle. So it'll be interesting to see how that thing plays out.
Yeah, I liked what I saw from Durden earlier today. Obviously, Ponder steps up big late, and so like that was something that we were going to have to watch just in light of the trade deadline and them not getting pass rush help. Like, can they get a little something out of a guy like Elijah Ponder, who's he plays that sort of traditional edge rusher type of role? And so that will be interesting to see. And if Barmore has to miss time, it's probably going to be Durden stepping up as the next man up as the interior pass rusher next to Milton Williams. And so like, teams are going to be able to key on Milton Williams, which is not obviously you'd rather have Barmore than not. But if teams are keying on Milton Williams, that's going to open up the opportunities for a guy like Corey Durden. And to your point, like Kairos Tonga isn't Travis Hunter. He's not going to be replacing all of Christian Barmore's snaps and playing fullback. So yeah, they're going to have to get help from their depth guys. I think the fact that they didn't get someone at the trade deadline at least shows some level of trust in the guys they have. And so like they've been really lucky with health going in up until, the last couple of weeks, I would say, especially, along that defensive line. The guys have played every game. But if they lose Barmore, like now we're going to have to see more from Corey Durden and even a guy like Elijah Ponder on the edge. And so it was good to see those guys also step up and make a couple plays, just like the rookies, like they're stepping up right when they needed them. So that was good to see.
Anything else on the defense?
Marcus Jones, I thought, had a kind of a down day. He muffed a punt in the special teams, but he kind of lost Ibuka on that opening touchdown. It looked like he was spying Mayfield on that one, but he just kind of like forgot about him, and like everybody forgot about Ibuka on that play. But yeah, like kind of a down day. He's had kind of a couple down games since he signed that contract. But maybe that's just because we're holding him to a high standard because he had such a good start to the year. But that's my big takeaway. And then also, like, Gonzalez, I thought, had a good game. He was targeted more than I would have expected, but he had a solid game. He had that big third down pass breakup with Woodson to break up the hard hit to break up that play. I've been impressed with how physical Gonzalez has been playing the last few weeks. That's kind of a departure from what you expect from him. But I thought, not a perfect day for the secondary, but they stepped up late. And so, you touched on Chase on, like, he's had a career year now. He's had a career high in sacks. He had a good early sack, and then he had the pressure that led to the fourth down stop. And so, not a perfect day by any means, but they stepped up when it mattered, and so that's what I liked about it.
I think on Gonzalez, you mentioned stepped up when it mattered. Like, this is kind of the pattern for him now. He gets beat once early, and then he just kind of locks down for the rest of the game. And ideally, he doesn't get beat once early, but he's kind of I don't know if he goes as the defense goes as he goes, but that's sort of what it's been. So he did enough. They did enough. The Patriots get the 28-23 win. They are now 8-2, and the Bills lost to Mike McDaniel, like lame duck coach Mike McDaniel, and the fire sale Miami Dolphins today. And so they drop another game in the standings. Now, next week, the Patriots get the Jets, and the Bills get a pissed off Buccaneers team. So Patriots in first place with some room, and we will have you covered for all of it. We will be back with a preview pod. I think we said Tuesday is the plan tentatively. We got to see how the short week's going to work. So if you subscribe to the Patriots Hub podcast or subscribe to the Sports Hub on YouTube, and you can actually subscribe to the Patriots Hub podcast specifically in there on YouTube, you'll get notified when our next show is up. We will have a preview show. Might be a 3-show week for us here with the short week for the Patriots. So we'll have you for that. And of course, more coverage on 98.5thesportshub.com. So until next one, for Matt Dolloff, I'm Alex Barth. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.